There is a moment recorded in the Pali Canon when the Buddha is asked by a wanderer how he sleeps. The wanderer is curious, perhaps skeptical. He wants to know if an awakened person rests like others do, or if something has changed in the simple act of lying down at night. The Buddha answers plainly. He says he sleeps easily, without agitation, not because he has trained himself into exhaustion or emptied his mind by force, but because he has seen clearly what disturbs rest and what allows it. He has let go of what clings. This is not a supernatural claim. It is an observation about the mind's relationship to itself. Most of us do not sleep easily. We lie down and the day does not end. Conversations replay. Tasks we forgot suddenly feel urgent. The body is tired, but the mind is still moving, still reaching, still turning over what happened or what might happen. We want rest, but we bring restlessness with us into the bed. The mind at night is like a pond after a day of wind. The surface is still rippling. Leaves and debris float across it. The water has not yet settled. If you try to see the bottom, you cannot. The movement is too much. But if you stop stirring the water, if you stop adding to it, the ripples begin to slow. Not because you commanded them to stop, because you stopped feeding them. This is what the Buddha pointed to. The mind does not need to be forced into stillness. It needs to be allowed to settle. Before rest, the mind is often caught in two directions at once. It is reviewing what has already passed, and it is preparing for what has not yet come. Neither of these is the present moment. Both are forms of reaching, and reaching, even mental reaching, creates tension. The body feels this, the breath shortens, the jaw tightens, the shoulders do not release. When the Buddha spoke about letting go, he was not speaking about rejecting experience or pretending thoughts do not arise. He was pointing to a different relationship with what moves through the mind. Thoughts come. This is natural. But we do not have to follow them. We do not have to build on them. We do not have to solve them before we sleep. There is a difference between a thought arriving and a thought being fed. One is like a bird landing briefly on a branch. The other is like offering that bird seed, then building it a nest, then worrying whether it will stay. The mind does this without realizing. A small worry appears, and within seconds it has become a story, a problem, a loop. At night, this habit intensifies. The day has ended. There is nothing left to do, and so the mind, accustomed to doing, begins to churn. It looks for something to fix, something to plan, something to hold. It does not know how to simply be without task. The practice before sleep is not about stopping thought. It is about noticing when the mind has begun to follow and gently returning to what is actually here. The breath, the weight of the body against the bed, the coolness of the air, the sound of the room. These are not distractions. They are anchors. They bring the mind back to the present, where rest is possible. The pond metaphor returns here. When you stop disturbing the water, it does not become still all at once. The ripples continue for a while, but they grow smaller. They lose momentum, and if you do not add new movement, the surface begins to clear. You do not have to make it clear. You only have to stop making it unclear. This is the gentleness the Buddha pointed to. Not effort, not control. Just a quiet refusal to keep stirring. In the minutes before sleep, the mind is often its own obstacle. It wants rest, but it also wants resolution. It wants to finish the day properly, to tie up what is loose, to prepare for tomorrow. These are not bad intentions, but they are intentions, and intentions keep the mind active. What if, just for these moments, you allowed the day to remain unfinished? What if the thoughts that arise do not need to be answered tonight? What if the body is allowed to soften without first solving everything the mind has carried? This is not avoidance, it is recognition. The mind will be here tomorrow, the thoughts will return. But right now, in this breath, in this exhale, there is only the simple fact of lying down. The rest can wait. Let yourself notice the breath as it moves, not controlling it, just feeling it. The belly rises, the belly falls. The air is cool as it enters, warm as it leaves. This is enough. This is where the mind begins to settle. When your body is tired and your eyes grow heavy, you might expect the mind to follow naturally into rest. And yet something else often happens. The moment you lie down, the thinking begins. Or it continues really, because it never truly stopped. One thought arrives, then another and another. Your mind swings from one concern to the next, like a creature moving through branches, never settling, never still. You notice yourself thinking about tomorrow's conversation, then a mistake from last week, then a plan that needs attention, then something you saw online hours ago. Each thought seems to pull you further from sleep, and the frustration of this only adds another thought to the stream. This restlessness of mind is not a personal failure. It is not something wrong with you. The Buddha observed that the untrained mind moves in exactly this way. It is the nature of an unexamined mind to chase from one object to another, seeking something, avoiding something else, never at ease. He did not describe this as laziness or weakness. He simply named what he saw. The mind, left to its own habit, is restless. It moves, it grasps, it risks. And when you are lying in the dark, hoping for sleep, this restlessness becomes very obvious. The instinct, when you notice this spinning, is often to fight it. You tell yourself to stop thinking. You try to force calm. You become frustrated that the calm is not arriving on command. But this struggle itself is another thought, another branch the mind swings to. The more you resist the thinking, the more solid and present it becomes. You are now not only thinking, but also thinking about the thinking, and the space between you and rest grows wider. There is a different way to meet this. It begins not with stopping the thoughts, but with seeing them clearly. Imagine a jar of muddy water. The mud is suspended throughout, making the water cloudy and dark. If you shake the jar, stir it, try to force the mud to settle, you only disturb it further. The water becomes even more turbid. But if you place the jar on a still surface and simply leave it undisturbed, something gradual happens. Without any effort, the mud begins to sink, the water begins to clear. Not because you commanded it to, but because you stopped interfering with the natural process. Your mind, when it is caught in the habit of chasing thoughts, is like that muddy water being constantly stirred. The thoughts are not the problem. The mud settling is not the problem. The problem is the constant movement, the constant reaching, the constant resistance. What changes things is not more force, but a different kind of attention. An attention that observes without grasping. An attention that lets things be as they are. This is where perception becomes the practice. When you lie down to sleep and notice that thinking has begun, there is a simple shift available to you. You do not need to stop the thought. You do not need to judge it or push it away. Instead, you can simply notice it. You can recognize in that moment that a thought is present, and you can name it silently and gently as thinking. Just that word, thinking. Not I am thinking about tomorrow, or this thought is keeping me awake. Simply thinking. The moment you name it this way, something subtle changes. The thought is no longer you. It is not your failure. It is not something you are doing wrong. It is simply a thought arising as thoughts do. And then, Having noticed and named it, you can turn your attention elsewhere, not away in resistance, but towards something simpler and more immediate. The sensation of your breath, the feeling of your body resting on the bed, the slight coolness of the air on your face. These sensations are always here, always available. They do not require you to think about them. They are simply present when you notice them. This is not meditation in the formal sense. You are not sitting upright with perfect posture. You are lying down, hoping to sleep, but the quality of attention is the same. You are practicing a way of seeing that is different from being caught. You are learning, through direct experience, that observing a thought is not the same as being swept away by it. When you notice a thought and name it as thinking, you have already created a small space. You are no longer identified with the thought. You are the one aware of it. Each time you do this, notice, name it, thinking, return to breath or body, you are allowing the mud to settle. You are not forcing anything. You are simply withdrawing the constant stirring, the constant grasping. The mind, like the muddy water, will begin to clear on its own. Not because you commanded it, but because you stopped interfering with its natural capacity to rest. The practice is so simple that it is easy to overlook. There is no achievement in it, no dramatic moment where everything changes. There is only this noticing what is here, naming it gently, and returning to the direct sensation of being alive in this moment. The breath moves, the body is heavy, the mind gradually becomes still. When you lie down to sleep, your body often carries the shape of the day. The shoulders hold what you worried about. The jaw remembers a conversation you wish had gone differently. The belly tightens around something left undone. You may not notice these tensions until you stop moving, until the business stops, and you finally lie still. Then they become visible, like stones revealed when the tide goes out. This is not weakness or failure. It is simply how the body works. It absorbs the texture of waking life. It stores the unfinished, the unsaid, the unresolved. And when you try to sleep while carrying all of this, the mind cannot settle. It keeps circling back to the day. It rehearses conversations. It plans for tomorrow. It holds on to what cannot be changed and worries about what has not yet happened. There is an old teaching in the Buddhist tradition, very simple and very direct. What has been done cannot be undone. What has not been done need not be carried into sleep. This is not about resignation or giving up. It is about clarity. It is about understanding the difference between what is finished and what is not. And more importantly, it is about understanding that carrying the finished into sleep does not change it. It only makes sleep harder. Think of a bird after rain. Watch how it shakes the water from its feathers. Not frantically, not with effort or struggle. It simply trembles, and the water falls away. The bird does not keep the water and carry it into the night. It does not grip the water or push against it. It shakes, and what was on its feathers is gone. The bird understands something very simple: the water has done its work. Now it is time to let it go. Your body and mind can learn the same thing. But first, you have to feel where the day is still clinging to you. This is not something to think about. It is something to sense. And the way to sense it is to move your attention slowly through your body, the way light moves across a room at dusk. You are not trying to fix anything. You are not trying to relax by force. You are simply noticing where tension lies, where the day is still held. Begin at the very top of your head. You might notice the scalp, the skin stretched over bone. You might notice warmth or coolness. You might notice nothing at all, and that is fine. There is no right way to feel. You are simply bringing awareness there, the way you might place a gentle hand on someone's shoulder. Breathe into that space, not breathing hard or deliberately. Just breathing and letting the breath move through your awareness of the head. If you notice tightness, you do not need to push it away. You simply breathe with it, the way you might sit with someone who is upset. The tightness does not need to disappear. It just needs to be seen and felt. Then move your attention down to your forehead, the space between your eyebrows, the temples. These places often hold the day's thinking, the mental effort, the concentration that was required. You may feel a slight tension there, or you may feel nothing. Either way, your attention is now there. Your breath is now there. You are not trying to change anything. You are simply bringing awareness, the way you might bring a candle into a dark room. Continue down to your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw. The jaw is often very tight. It holds what was not said, what was held back, what was bitten down on during the day. You might feel it clenching slightly. You might feel it relaxed. Either way, notice it. Let your breath reach there. There is no need to force the jaw open or to relax it deliberately. Simply notice it, and let the breath move through your awareness of it. Move down to your throat, your neck, your shoulders. The shoulders carry so much. They carry responsibility, worry, the weight of things you cannot control. They often rise up toward your ears. As you bring your attention there, you might notice them relaxing slightly, or you might notice them staying tight. That is fine. You are not trying to change them. You are noticing them. You are breathing with them. Continue down through your chest, your heart, your lungs, your belly. Feel the breath moving here. Feel the space inside your body. The belly often holds fear or anxiety. It tightens around what might happen, around uncertainty. As you bring your attention here, you are not trying to open it or release it. You are simply feeling it, the way you might feel the texture of cloth between your fingers. Move down through your lower back, your hips, your thighs, your knees, your shins, your feet. With each area, you are doing the same thing. You are bringing your attention there. You are breathing. You are noticing what is present without trying to change it. This is like the bird shaking water from its feathers, but slower, more deliberate. You are moving through your body, and as you move, you are allowing the day to fall away. Not because you are forcing it away, but because you are no longer gripping it. You are no longer holding it in your shoulders and jaw and belly. You are simply noticing it, and as you notice it with gentle attention, it begins to release on its own. By the time you have moved all the way down to your feet, something has shifted. The day is still there. What was done is still done, but it is no longer living in your body. It is no longer keeping you awake. You have shaken it off, the way the bird shakes water from its feathers, and now you are ready to rest. For sleep and the wandering mind, when you lie down to rest, something often happens that you may have noticed before. The body settles, the room grows quiet, and then the mind begins to move. It drifts backward into the afternoon, replaying a conversation. It jumps forward into tomorrow, rehearsing what needs to be done. It circles around a worry, examining it from different angles, as if understanding it better might change what is to come. The body is ready for sleep, but the mind is somewhere else entirely. This is not a failure. It is simply what an unsettled mind does when given the space to move freely. For most of us, the day is filled with tasks and demands that hold attention in place. We are occupied. But when we lie down, when there is nothing left to do, the mind discovers it has nowhere to go and yet everywhere to go at once. It becomes like a boat untethered in a river. The current carries it downstream, and the boat drifts without anchor or direction. The problem is not that the mind wanders. The problem is that we believe we need to force it to stop. We try to shut down the thinking. We tell ourselves to relax, to let go, to clear the mind. But this effort itself becomes another layer of activity, another current pushing against the boat. The mind resists. It becomes tighter, more alert, more convinced that sleep is something that must be captured and controlled. There is a different way. It comes from a very simple observation that has been noticed for centuries in the Zen tradition. It is this breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Nothing more is needed. There is no instruction to make the breath different. There is no goal to achieve. There is only the direct knowing of what is already happening. When you turn your attention to the breath this way, something shifts. You are no longer trying to force the mind into a particular state. You are simply noticing what is present. The breath comes in, you know it. The breath goes out, you know it. This is enough. This is everything. The breath is always available. It does not require you to be clever or to have special knowledge. It is here whether you are anxious or calm, whether your day was good or difficult. The breath does not judge you. It simply moves in and out, in and out. And when you place your attention there, when you know the breathing as it happens, the mind begins to settle not because you have forced it, but because you have given it something true to rest upon. Think of it like this: that boat drifting in the river. Imagine now that it is tied to a post that stands in the river, but the river still moves. The current is still strong, but the boat does not drift away. It stays near the post. It may rock, it may turn, but it has an anchor. Your breath is that post. It is fixed, present, always returning. No matter where your attention has wandered, the breath is still there, waiting. When you lie down to sleep, the mind will still wander. This is not something that needs to be prevented, but when you have an anchor, you can return. Again and again, without frustration, without judgment. You simply notice that attention has drifted into planning or worry, and you bring it back to the breath. Back to knowing, breathing in, breathing out. This is the practice. Here is a way to begin. It is very simple, and it is meant to be done in the darkness, lying in your bed as you prepare for sleep. You will count 10 breaths silently, not out loud, just a quiet counting in your mind. Breathing in on 1, breathing out on 2, breathing in on 3, breathing out on 4. Continue this way until you reach 10, then begin again from 1. But here is what will happen, and it is important to know this in advance so you do not become discouraged. You will lose the count. Your mind will wander into a thought, and suddenly you will realize you have no idea what number you were on. You may have been on 4, or you may have been on 7. You will not know. When this happens, you simply return to 1, not with irritation, not with the feeling that you have failed. You simply return. The returning itself is the practice. Each time you notice that you have drifted, and you come back to the breath and the count, something is happening. Attention is being trained. The mind is learning where to rest. You may find that you lose the count many times in the first cycle of 10. You may lose it in the second cycle as well. This is natural. The mind has spent the whole day being pulled in many directions. It is not accustomed to resting in one place. But gradually, as you continue, as you return again and again without judgment, something begins to settle. The intervals between losing the count grow longer. The mind spends more time simply knowing the breath, simply aware of the in and out. Continue with this counting for as long as feels right. You might complete 3 full cycles of 10 breaths. You might find that somewhere in the middle of the 2nd or 3rd cycle, the counting becomes unnecessary. The breath is enough. The knowing is enough. You have found your anchor. The boat has stopped drifting, and from this place of quiet attention, of simple presence with what is, sleep comes naturally, not forced, not captured, simply arriving, as it always does, when the mind is no longer struggling against it. There is a particular kind of struggle that happens in the hour before sleep. You lie down, the body settles, and then the mind begins its work. It reaches for sleep like a hand grasping at water. The tighter the grip, the faster the water flows through the fingers. This reaching is so ordinary that we rarely notice it as a reaching at all. We call it trying to sleep. We call it wanting rest. But underneath that phrase is a specific movement of the mind, an insistence that sleep should come now, that it should obey our schedule, that we have the power to command it into being. And the moment we make that demand, something in us tenses. The body hears it. The breath hears it. Sleep, which was perhaps already close, moves further away. The teaching that comes through the Mahayana tradition offers a different image. A flower does not open through effort or demand. It opens when the conditions are right. When the sun warms it, when the air holds the right moisture, when the time in its own unfolding has arrived. We do not stand before a closed flower and say, "Open now. I need you to open." We do not grip it or coax it or bargain with it. We simply know that opening will come. The flower has no choice in the matter. It opens because the conditions make opening inevitable. Sleep is like this. Not because you are passive or because nothing matters, but because sleep is not something you do. It is something that happens when the conditions are present. Your body needs to be tired. Your mind needs to be still. Your nervous system needs to feel safe. These conditions gather on their own timeline, not on yours. When you lie in bed and feel the urge to make sleep happen, you are trying to command the flower. You are saying, "Open now. I have decided it is time." And the flower, in this case your own body and mind, cannot respond to a command. It can only respond to conditions. There is a useful image for this. Imagine calling a cat. If you call with urgency and demand, if you say, "Come here now, I need you to come," the cat will often do the opposite. It will wander away. It will ignore you. It will settle in another room. But if you sit quietly, if you simply make space and wait, if you let the cat approach in its own time, something shifts. The cat may come and sit beside you. It may rub against your leg. It may choose to be near you, not because you commanded it, but because the conditions felt right for approach. This is not passivity. You are still present. You are still awake. You are simply not fighting. You are not demanding. You are inviting instead of insisting. The moment you notice yourself trying to force sleep is the moment the practice begins. It is not a failure. It is an awakening to what is actually happening. You might feel the tightness in your chest. You might notice the way your mind is scanning for sleep, checking whether it has arrived yet, like someone looking out a window for a guest who is already late. You might sense the small knot of anxiety underneath it. All what if sleep does not come? What if I lie awake all night? What if tomorrow is ruined? All of this is worth noticing, not to judge it or push it away, but simply to see it clearly. This is the urge to control. This is the wanting. This is what happens when we believe that sleep is something we must make happen through force of will. Once you see this clearly, something can shift, not immediately. Not because you have done something right, but because you have stopped doing something wrong. You have stopped the reaching. You have stopped the demanding. And in that pause, the conditions can begin to gather. What remains is attention itself. Gentle, without agenda. You might rest your awareness on the weight of your body against the bed. Not trying to relax the body. Not trying to make it heavier or looser. Simply noticing the contact. The places where your back touches the mattress. Where your head rests on the pillow. Where your legs settle into the sheets. This is not a technique to force sleep. It is simply where attention can rest when it is not chasing sleep. The breath is here too, not to control it or deepen it, simply to notice its natural rhythm, the way the inhale comes and goes, the way the exhale follows, the small pause between them. This is real. This is happening now. This is not about tomorrow or about whether sleep will come. It is about what is actually present in this moment. When the mind wanders back into wanting, back into demanding, back into the anxiety about sleep, you simply notice that too. There is no failure in the wandering. The mind wanders. That is what minds do. You see the wandering, you see the reaching, and you return to the body, to the breath, to the simple fact of lying here, in the dark, in this moment, with conditions that are already present. The cat will come when it comes. The flower will open when it opens. And you will sleep when the conditions are right. Until then, there is only this, the warmth of the bed, the rhythm of the breath, and the quiet presence of awareness itself. As you settle into the evening, you may notice something that feels like a barrier to rest. It is not always the loudness of the world around you. Sometimes it is the quality of attention itself. A car passes outside. A neighbor's voice carries through the wall. Your own thoughts arrive unbidden. And in each moment, there is a small movement inside, a tightening, a pushing away. You want the sound to stop. You want the mind to quiet. You want silence, and what you have instead feels like noise. This wanting itself becomes the real disturbance. The Buddha did not teach that we must find a soundproof room or empty our minds of all activity before we can rest. He observed something simpler. He said the wise person hears sound, but is not disturbed by it. Not because they have eliminated sound from their world, but because they have changed their relationship to it. They have stopped resisting. Think of a piece of music you love. The silence between the notes is not empty. It is not dead space. It is the space that gives the notes their shape, their meaning, their resonance. Without the pause, without the rest, there would be only noise. A continuous blur of sound with no form. The silence is not the absence of sound. The silence is what allows sound to be heard at all. And the silence is also what allows the listener to breathe, to feel, to remain undisturbed. When you lie in bed and a sound arises, something in you immediately judges it. Too loud, too close, wrong. And from that judgment comes resistance. The body tightens. The breath becomes shallow. The mind grasps for a different reality, one where the sound does not exist. This grasping is exhausting. It is also futile. The sound is already here. Resistance does not make it go away. It only makes you suffer while the sound continues. But what if you did something different? What if, when a sound arrived, you simply listened to it? Not with the intention of stopping it or controlling it. Not with the hope that understanding it would make it disappear. Simply listened. The way you might listen to a note in that piece of music. The way you might listen to a voice of someone you trust, without needing anything from them, except to hear what they are saying. This is not a technique to force relaxation. It is an observation. When you stop pushing against what is already here, something in you settles. Not because the external world has changed, because your inner resistance has released. The evening sounds in your home are not your enemy. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of traffic, the creak of the house settling, these are not obstacles to peace. They are simply what is present. And the peace you are looking for is not the absence of these sounds. It is the absence of your resistance to them. You can begin to sense this as you lie down. As the mind begins to slow and the body begins to release its held tension, sounds will come. Some will be external. Some will be internal. The rush of blood in your ears, the small movements of your own breath. When a sound arrives, let your attention rest on it, not to analyze it or figure it out, simply to hear it. The way the space between notes hears the note that is about to come. The way silence is not passive but receptive. Follow the sound as it unfolds. A car engine grows louder. It reaches its peak. It begins to fade. Your only task is to stay with it, to let it move through you without resistance. As it fades, do not immediately reach for the next sound. Rest in the quiet. Let there be a few breaths where nothing is demanded of you, where you are simply present to whatever arises in that space. A thought may come, a sensation in the body, or there may be a genuine quietness. All of this is welcome. Then, when another sound emerges, let your attention follow it in the same way, not as an interruption, as part of the natural rhythm of the evening, the rhythm of sound and silence, activity and rest, arising and passing away. This practice is not about achieving perfect silence. It is about discovering that the silence you seek is not something that needs to be created. It is already here, in the space between moments, in the space between your resistance and what is. When you stop fighting for a different reality, when you allow sound and silence to move through you without clinging to either one, something shifts, the body relaxes, the breath deepens. The mind, which was so busy trying to control its surroundings, begins to trust what is here. As you continue to listen in this way, you may notice the quality of your attention changing, becoming softer, more spacious, less urgent. The sounds do not disappear, but they no longer have the power they once did. They are simply sounds, moving through the air, moving through your awareness, and then passing away. And you remain resting in the quiet that was always there, in the space between the notes of your own life. When you lie down in darkness and feel the weight of aloneness settle into your chest, you are meeting something very old, not something broken in you. Something that belongs to the shape of being human, of being aware, of being alive in a body that must eventually rest. Fear can arrive quietly. It does not always announce itself as fear. Sometimes it comes as restlessness, a tightness in the shoulders, the mind that will not settle, that keeps reaching for thought after thought, as though each one might protect you from something unnamed. And underneath, often, is a particular kind of loneliness. The loneliness of being separate, of being the only one awake while the world sleeps, of lying still while your mind spins. The darkness does something. It removes the familiar shapes that usually tell you where you are. It removes the faces of others. It removes the sense of being held by the ordinary world. And in that removal, a question can arise. Am I truly alone? The answer, strangely, is both yes and no. You are alone in your body. No one else inhabits your breath or your heartbeat. That is a true loneliness, and it is worth acknowledging without turning away from it. But there is another way to see this aloneness, not as isolation, but as participation. All beings rest. This is not a metaphor. It is what is happening right now, across the world, in forests and cities, in oceans and burrows, in rooms like yours, countless creatures are settling into sleep. Birds fold their wings. Insects still their movements. Mammals curl into the shapes of rest. The rhythm of waking and sleeping is not something you do alone. It is something you do as part of the world. You are not separate from this rhythm. You are it. When a leaf falls from a tree and lands on the surface of a still pond, it does not fall alone. The pond receives it. The water holds it. The leaf floats there, and it is both distinct and held. You can see its edges clearly. You can trace its veins. And yet it rests on something larger than itself. It is not drowning. It is not abandoned. It is held by the surface that receives all falling things. This is what happens when you lie down. You are not falling into an abyss of separation. You are being received by something vast and ordinary. The earth beneath you. The rhythm that all beings share. The simple fact that rest is not a lonely act. It is something every living thing does. Fear often whispers that you are the exception. That while others rest easily, you are somehow outside this natural rhythm. That your loneliness is unique and therefore more real. But this is a misreading. The fear is real. The loneliness is real. But the story you tell about what they mean, that is where the grip tightens. As you lie there, you might notice something. The darkness that felt so empty a moment ago is not actually empty. It is full of sensation. The weight of your body on the bed, the coolness of the air on your skin, the subtle rise and fall of your breath. These are not small things. They are the actual texture of being alive. They are what is truly here, beneath the story of isolation. And as you notice these sensations, something else becomes possible. A kind of companionship with the moment itself. Not companionship with another person, but with the fact of being. With the aliveness that is happening right now, in this body, in this darkness. The teaching from the oldest traditions is simple. All beings rest. All beings wake. You are not separate from this. You are woven into it. The loneliness you feel is real, but it is not the whole truth. Alongside it, always, is this belonging to the rhythm that all creatures share. When this begins to land in you, not as an idea, but as a felt sense, something can shift. The darkness becomes less like a void and more like a space that is holding you. The aloneness becomes less like abandonment and more like a kind of freedom. You are alone, yes, but you are alone in the way a leaf is alone on the pond, distinct, visible, and held. At this point, if you wish, you might place your hands gently on your heart or your belly, and very quietly, almost as a whisper beneath your breath, you can offer yourself these words, "May I rest in peace." Say it once. Let it settle, then say it again. "May I rest in peace." And one more time with the same gentleness, "May I rest in peace." Do not push these words. Do not make them mean anything. They are simply an offering you make to yourself, the way the pond receives the leaf without effort or strain. After the third time, let the words dissolve. Let them become silence. Let your attention return to the simple fact of your body, your breath, the darkness that is not empty but full. There is no more work to do. The stillness that holds all sleeping things is already here. You are not separate from it. You never were. The mind that comes to rest is not a mind that has been forced into silence. It is a mind that has learned, gradually, to release its grip. You have spent this time together observing the patterns that keep you awake, the ways thinking tightens around worry, the subtle movements of resistance that arise when you want sleep to come. And perhaps you have noticed that the wanting itself is part of what keeps you turning. There is no perfect state to achieve before sleep. no ideal level of calm you must reach. The body knows how to rest. It has done this every night of your life. What we practice here is not control, but a kind of gentle stepping back. We watch the breath move. We notice sensation. We let thoughts pass without following them into their long corridors. This is enough. When you lie down tonight, or any night, you do not need to remember everything that has been said here. You do not need to apply techniques or monitor your progress. Simply bring your attention to what is most immediate. The weight of your body against the surface beneath you. The temperature of the air on your skin. The quiet rhythm of breathing that continues whether you attend to it or not. If the mind is active, let it be active. You are not trying to stop the river. You are sitting on the bank, watching it move. Thoughts will come. They always do. Some nights they will be louder than others. Some nights the body will feel restless, uncomfortable, resistant to stillness. This is not failure. This is simply the condition of the moment. You meet it without adding a story about what it means. The practice is always the same. Notice. Allow. Return. Notice what is here. Allow it to be as it is. Return to the breath, to the body, to the simplest point of contact with the present. This is not a formula for instant sleep. It is a way of being with yourself that does not demand anything other than what is already happening. Over time, this changes something. Not because you are doing it right, but because you are no longer doing battle with your own experience. The mind learns that it does not have to solve everything before rest comes. The body learns that it is safe to let go. These are not lessons you can force. They arrive quietly in their own time, the way dawn comes without announcement. You may find that some nights you fall asleep easily, and other nights you do not. Both are fine. The value of this practice is not measured only in how quickly sleep arrives. It is measured in how you meet the moments before sleep. Whether you can be present with restlessness, whether you can allow discomfort without turning it into a problem that must be fixed immediately, whether you can rest in awareness itself, even when the body has not yet found rest. If you wish, you can continue this exploration with another session. There is no urgency. The teachings are always here, waiting quietly, like the breath. You can return whenever you need to remember that you do not have to carry everything into the night. For now, let your attention settle into the body. Feel the places where you make contact with what supports you. Notice the rise and fall of the chest, the belly, the subtle movement of air at the nostrils. You do not need to deepen the breath or change it. Simply let it be exactly as it is. Let the weight of your limbs sink. Let your jaw soften. Let the muscles around your eyes release their small, constant effort. If there is tightness anywhere, you do not have to fix it. Just acknowledge it. Let it be held in awareness the way the night holds everything without effort. The mind will continue to move. Let it. You are not the one steering anymore. You are simply here, breathing, present, allowing the night to do what it has always done. There is nothing more to understand, nothing more to achieve. Just this breath, just this moment. Just the quiet return to what has always been resting beneath the noise.